Our Politics. I'm your host, Arlene Price, and first off, we want to thank you all for joining us again. We apologize. We were supposed to have the show last Monday, and I came down with the creepy crud again and lost my voice for the second or third time since October. I'm hoping I can get through this tonight. I got all my Michael Mann's hooked me up with all my cough drops here and my Kleenex and everything else. So hopefully I'll get through this hour. We want to also thank everybody behind the scenes that make Truth of Politics happen. And Steve Hall, our owner-operator of our television station and MBR TV, thank you so much for having us on and keeping us on television. So, welcome. We got some new viewers tonight. One of them out of Canada. Hello, Canada. A buddy of mine moved up there in the Canadian outback, and want to thank him for joining us tonight. Okay, so we're going to try to rush through. I'm going to try to get through 3 different topics tonight, and I'm calling this whole thing the Luigi Effect. Luigi Manione was the shooter who shot the CEO, the healthcare CEO in New York. And the reason I'm calling it Luigi Effect is, and again, let me be real clear, no one's condoning murder here, okay? But the Luigi Effect is kind of like the Robin Hood effect. Why people are so angry, and I'm going to get into. I got an answer to that, I believe, tonight. And I'm going to use 3 different topics as an example as to why so many people are cheering Luigi on in this kind of Robin Hood effect. And again, not condoning murder or anything. I'm just trying to get people to understand, because I have people, how can anybody condone murder? Well, I'm not condoning murder, but there's a reason people were angry. Let's just get into that, okay? I've covered this before, so I'm not going to get into the whole pages of this, and we posted the actual IG inspection, and you can go back on previous shows and watch that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start every show from now on until they correct it, which they never will, with the following. The Pentagon has still not found $800 billion, okay? That's right. The Pentagon, they flunked miserably 7 Inspector General inspections, okay? And they still have not found $800 billion. That's your tax dollars. That's just the Pentagon. Now let's add to that. Now this is a separate report. That's an addition to the Pentagon, okay? According to the GAO, that's the Government Accountability Office, the federal government reported $161.8 billion in improper payments during the most recent fiscal year. And this is to a new watchdog report. Now again, this $181 billion. This is in addition to the $800 billion that the Pentagon has just lost, okay? Improper payments have been a significant issue for the federal government, with executive branches reporting an estimated of $2.8 trillion in improper payments since 2003. Now, I'm going to reread that. Improper payments have been a significant issue for the federal government, with executive branches reporting an estimated of $2.8 trillion. That's trillion with a T, as in Tom, okay? In improper payments since 2003. The report found a total of $161 billion in improper payments in 2024 alone. So that $161.8 billion is just in 1 year. This figure is likely an undercut because not all federal agencies follow reporting guidelines. So these are just the federal government agencies that follow the reporting guidelines, which, by the way, I'm here to tell you, the NSA, all your spook organizations, NSA, CIA, none of those have to do these reporting guidelines, okay? I'm telling you that right now. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. Under the Payment Integrity Enforcement Act, agencies are required to manage payments by identifying risk, taking corrective measures, and reporting their effects. However, the GAO found that some agencies are not fully following the required guidelines, reporting the data annually. So even the ones that are reporting this stuff are not following the guidelines. So this is what we know that's been reported. Who knows how much has gone unreported in these black ops projects, and we're going to get into that a little bit in our third topic. According to the report 2023, the IG's report showed that 10 federal agencies under the Chief Financial Officers Act were non-compliant in fiscal year 2022. Additionally, 9 of these agencies failed to meet standards for the same programs in 2021-2022. Now, 10 agencies plus the Pentagon. Now we're at $1 trillion plus dollars. 800 billion, even though this is 2.8 trillion. We're in the trillions of dollars, which explains a lot about our deficit. Okay, and guess who's been fired? Nobody. Nobody's gone to jail. I mean, some of this is, in my opinion, misappropriation of funds, and we're going to get into that again in our third topic. Misappropriation of funds, which there's people sitting in Leavenworth right now. There's people sitting in peons, of course, not the bigwigs, who get caught misappropriating, smidget of funds, definitely not in the billions, and they go to jail for that. They lose their clearance, and their top secret clearance and stuff. But here we are. Nothing's been done. Nobody's fired. Nobody's been held accountable. And your U.S. Congress is, acting all enraged and everything. But what has anybody done about this? Where are some heads, and the heads that need to be on the chopping block need to be these generals and, these executives, not the little peons out there, because these are the people high up that are signing off on all of these approvals for the spending. My good friend Larry King, he's watching tonight. Larry King, he always says, when it's the government's, when it's the taxpayers' money, it's nobody's money. And so, the people in charge of our government are misspending trillions of dollars. Now we're going to get into the Luigi effect, why people are pissed off at CEOs, at government agencies, we're having technical problems. Keep going. Okay, sorry. Probably having technical problems. Okay, now I want you to just juxtapose to this, or compare it to this. Okay. Alan Simpson, a U.S. Senator from Wyoming, said the following. He called senior citizens the greediest generation as he compared Social Security to a milk cow with 310 million teats. Somebody named my new hero, Patty Myers. I don't know if this is a real person or not. Whoever wrote this Patty Myers, if she's real or not. I'm going to read this response, okay? Because needless to say, whoever she is, she's in that district, and so she responded to this U.S. Senator. Number one, as a career politician, you have been on the public dole, and she's got in parentheses teat, for 50 years. Number two, I have been paying Social Security taxes for 48 years, since I was 15 years old, and now I'm 63. This girl reminds me of me, because I'm 63. Number three, my Social Security payments and those of millions of other Americans were safely tucked away in an interest-bearing account for decades until you, political pukes, decided to raid the account and give our money to a bunch of zero losers in return for votes, thus bankrupting the system and turning Social Security into a Ponzi scheme that would make Bernie Madoff proud. Ugh. Recently, just like Lucy and Charlie Brown, you and your ilk pulled the proverbial football away from millions of American seniors nearing retirement and moved the goalposts for full retirement age from 65 to 67. Now, you and your shill commission are proposing to move the goalposts yet again. I and millions of other Americans have been paying into Medicare from day one, and now you morons propose to change the rules of the game. Why? Because you idiots mismanage other parts of the economy to such an extent that you need to steal our money from Medicare to pay the bills. Okay, by the way, this senator, Alan Simpson's not the only one that's made statements like this. Your senator here in Kentucky, folks, Mitch McConnell, has attempted and made comments and thrown Social Security under the bus numerous times. And I've posted these, okay? Number 6. I and millions of other Americans have been paying income taxes our entire lives, and now you propose to increase our taxes yet again. Why? Because you incompetent, and she got a bunch of XXXs, cussing them, spend our money so proficulately that you just keep on spending even after you ran out of money. Now, You come to the American taxpayers and say you need more to pay off your debt. To add insult to injury, you label us greedy for calling something to your incompetence. Oh, that's a cuss word. Well, Captain, another cuss word, BS, fill in the blanks there. I have a few questions for you. How much money have you earned from the American taxpayers during your pathetic 50-year political career? At what age did you retire from your pathetic political career, and how much are you receiving in annual retirement benefits from the American taxpayers? That's a good question, because we pay their retirement. How much do you pay your government-provided health care insurance? We pay for their insurance. What cuts in your retirement health care benefits are you proposing in your disgusting deficit reduction proposal, or as usual, have you exempted yourself and your political cronies? I'm going to answer that. Yes. This budget proposal cuts, they are exempting themselves. It is you, Captain, and another name. This person's cussing a lot, and I don't blame them. They're mad. And your political co-conspirators. Sorry, we're filming this Okay. Sorry about that. And your political co-conspirators called Congress, who are the greedy ones. It is you and your fellow nutcase thieves who have bankrupted America and stolen the American dream from millions of loyal, patriotic taxpayers. And for what? Votes and your job and retirement security at our expense. You lunkheaded leech. That's right, sir. You and yours have bankrupted America for the sole purpose of advancing your pathetic political careers. You know it, we know it, and you know that we know it. And you can take that to the bank, you miserable son of a you-know-what. P.S. And stop calling Social Security betterment entitlements. What an insult. I've been paying into Social Security for 45 years. It's my money. Give it back to me the way the system was designed, and stop patting yourself on the back like you are being generous by doling out these monthly checks. Everyone, if you agree with what a Montana citizen, Patty Meyer, says, please pass it on. I cut and pasted this and posted this. Go down on my private page and you can see this, and I agree with this 100%. Patty, you're my new hero. You're absolutely right. And again, this is what people are getting angry at. If you're middle class, working class, or poor, the rich keep getting richer and getting away with stealing our money. And people in government are getting away with basically, hijacking our funds, and nobody's being held accountable. Okay? So, I want to talk about the Luigi Effect, this third topic, or second topic. Second topic, okay? Luigi Manione is the New York City's shooter that shot the healthcare, United Healthcare monopoly CEO and killed him. Okay, again, let me be clear, I'm not condoning going out and shooting CEOs, okay? But I'm trying to explain why people are supporting him. Why, there was a whole demonstration, people holding signs, people were sending him money and everything else, because people are fed up with our politicians, our leadership, robbing us blind, and nobody being held accountable. Okay? Elizabeth Warren did an excellent job. She had two of the CEOs from the United Healthcare on a panel and testifying before Congress. Why is that? And she did this just 3 days before Luigi shot this guy. Now, did this cause the shooting? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Who knows in the mind of somebody that's going to shoot somebody? And I think this kid has problems. I think this kid has mental problems, is what I think. I mean, anybody goes out and shoots somebody like that, there's got to be something wrong up there. But Elizabeth Warren was holding this commission because United Healthcare is under investigation. And I'm just going to hit some of the highlights. And I reposted this. This is on C-SPAN. Please go watch the full thing, because she does an excellent job of cross-examining and just hosing these CEOs for ripping everybody off. Now, back in, was it October, Michael Mann? We did a whole show on the healthcare scam, and that's what we called it, the healthcare scam.
I think it
And
was.
it was in October. We did it right before I went to the DR. Okay. So, you know, United Healthcare is a monopoly on steroids, and I'm quoting Elizabeth Warren. It's one of the biggest participants in the Medicare benefits. They are accused right now, and they're under a criminal investigation for upcoding. They're the most aggressive abuser of upcoding. What is that? Well, they overbill Medicare. We just had, what was that, 3 years ago? A doctor in Somerset, Kentucky was found guilty of doing this. Where you know, instead of billing him for this, you upcode it for a more expensive procedure or whatever the billing is. And he went to jail for that. But United Healthcare, because it's a corporation, and they're under criminal investigation, but here's one of the big problems in our government right now. If you're going to commit a crime, if you're going to steal big, become a corporation. Because guess what? Nobody's going to jail for this stuff. Okay? This is one of the best quotes I've heard yet, and it's by Mark Twain. And this is a part of the Luigi Effect, is what I'm calling it. When the rich rob the poor, it's called business. When the poor fight back, it's called violence, by Mark Twain. Again, not justifying violence, but Mark Twain knew back a long time ago why people feel this way. United Healthcare is really, they're bankers. They're not healthcare providers. The Inspector General and United Healthcare proved that the United Healthcare cheated taxpayers in 2017 for $3.7 billion in just a single year and only 2 upcoding practices. Let me repeat this. The Inspector General office, they reported this. There's a whole report on this. United Healthcare cheated the taxpayers in 2017 out of $3.7 billion. This is billing Medicare and upcoding in just a single year on only 2 upcoding practices. United Healthcare is currently under investigation by the Department of Justice for billing practices. And what'll happen if they're found guilty, which they will be, is they'll get a fine. And none of these CEOs will go to jail. I commit Medicare fraud. You can bet my happy butt is going to prison. But if you're a CEO of a company, I'm waiting to see what happens with this. And believe me, we will be updating. I'm going to follow this. Okay? Let us remember, United Healthcare, a couple of years ago, they committed, I don't know if y'all remember this, we covered it, one of the biggest data breaches in history. It is, this is where they snatch up doctors' practices and grow their country, their county. And then these doctors were on the edge of bankruptcy because they couldn't get reimbursed because of the data breach. Okay, what happened is United Healthcare was keeping all their, and stuff from Medicare, your Social Security numbers and everything, your HIPAA violation stuff in the cloud. It got hacked. United Healthcare got hacked. That's the data breach, okay? One of the biggest in history. And nobody went to jail. Nothing happened. And it cost the taxpayers, thousands and thousands of dollars to fix this. Nobody in United Healthcare was fired. CEOs, the feeling, and I call this, I'm going to quote somebody else on Facebook, okay? And again, not condoning murder, but somebody made this Facebook post, and I just want to repeat what it says because this is a part of the Robin Hood effect, the Luigi effect. CEOs are mass murderers. They just use paper and they don't pull a trigger. Okay, what do they mean by that? Well, what I think they mean is this United Healthcare, they got wealthy by denying claims. And we went into the whole thing of this, a whole show of this back in October, how they deny claims. So I'm not going to get into all of that again. Go watch that show. And this is, they've got proof of this, okay? How many people died because they didn't get their care? Now, these are people who have health insurance. They're paying premiums. And people on Medicare. The taxpayers are paying the Medicare, okay? And if you need an MRI or whatever, they're denying health care. That's how they're making this money. United Healthcare. That's how they're getting rich. So the question is, how many people have died because of this denying claims? This CEO that got shot, everybody defending him. You know, some of the news stations just made me ill about how they try to idolize this guy. How poor, pitiful guy, he was shot. And again, not condoning murder here, but, you know, he ain't that poor and pitiful. He was being sued for $120 million for dumping his stock and not divulging the information. So he was already under investigation for that. This CEO denied nausea medication to a child that was undergoing chemo. And how they denied is they said it was not essential. Well, if it's your kid and you're getting chemotherapy and your kid's nauseous, you know, and they can't keep anything down, that is essential. And that's the kind of stuff this CEO and this company was doing. Under this CEO's reign, denials doubled from industry standards from 16% to 30%. Let me repeat this. Under this specific CEO, the one who was shot, the denials, that's the CEO, this company denying health care to people who are paying premiums, okay? From 16% to 32%. Lots of people who needed chemo didn't get it. So these people were denied chemotherapy too. They could still make money by supplying needed health care. In other words, what Elizabeth Warren brought out in this thing is they would have still made billions of dollars by giving the health care. They didn't have to deny the health care. They would have still made money. It still would have been a profitable company. But because United Healthcare and companies like them are so greedy, and we went into other companies in October. I named all the companies and what they were doing. They wanted more money. Nothing's enough for these people. They can't, one multi-million-dollar home's not enough. They have to have three. So to do that, they denied health care. And people got sick, and you can bet people died. Hence the Robin Hood effect. Sorry, folks. I'm gonna be struggling to get through this. I've been losing my voice off and on for a while. Okay. Profits earned from operations. Okay, this is from 2023 to 2013 to 2023. United Healthcare Group went from $7.86 billion to $32.4 billion. That's a big jump. That's a big jump. And how did they do that? Denying health care. Cigna wasn't much better at $1.88 billion. And we covered this in the previous thing. The Cigna, CVS, Aetna, Evolent, $4.8 billion to $8 billion. You know, Humana, $1.9 million to $4.4. They're all doubling and tripling and on up their profit margin by denying health care and making people get even more sick. And it's just sickening that these people are getting away with this, in my humble opinion. So, all right. Word number 3. Go ahead.
I think they should retract the law that you're required to have health care, because that's whenever a lot of this stuff started going, because before that it was a competition effect.
Right.
But now that you have to have it, they can do anything they want.
Yeah, or, that's right. But this is why I've been a proponent for either single-payer health care or for at least the public option. What is the public option? The public option is where I can choose. I can go to these greedy SOBs like, you know, Cigna and all these other ones, United Healthcare, or I can choose based on my income to pay Medicare even before I'm 65, and I can join Medicare. And, and the problem with that, though, you would have to fix these companies being able to rip off Medicare. Okay, well, if I'm a CEO of a company, and me and my fellow CEOs, because there's a bunch of CEOs running a company, and the board, and I can illegally engage in Medicare fraud, and no, because I'm a corporation, I'm not going to jail. That's the problem. Nobody's going to jail here, just like the Pentagon, just like all these other government agencies. When corporations can get away with stuff because they're incorporated and they can commit crimes. Pfizer's a big one. We did a whole show on Pfizer and the shot, and back of the anthrax. Pfizer Corporation was found guilty for killing people. They forced our military to take the anthrax vaccination. Then it came out in the court system, and the federal courts even said, it was upheld by the Supreme Court, that they should not have made this mandatory. Okay, and then look what happened with COVID shot. Okay, the Pfizer CEOs were caught doctoring the records, lying about this. Same thing here, but because it's a corporation, nobody went to prison. That's got to change. As long as these corporations can it's called engage in sovereign immunity, and they have immunity from some of them even from being sued. And definitely immunity from going to jail because they're part of a corporation. This is one of the biggest flaws in our government, in my humble opinion, so far. And what are your legislatures doing to change this? Nothing. Here's the flip side of this coin. Even if the federal legislatures are so bought off, Nancy Pelosi's, Mitch McConnell's, all of them. And let me be crystal clear here. It's both parties. Okay, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party are equal opportunity criminals, right? Especially at the federal level. Now, is everybody up there on Capitol Hill corrupt? Probably not. Are most of them? My opinion, hell yeah, they are. How do you go from being a farmer running for Congress and then, 20 years later, you're a billionaire? Okay? That don't happen overnight. And this is why I'm for term limits, too. Is because they're getting away with ripping us off. These generals, in the Pentagon, nobody's going to jail. $800 billion, trillions of dollars of our taxpayer money being wasted, and then these senators like this guy from who I just quoted, and Mitch McConnell, and it's not just Mitch McConnell. There's several of them that have made comments about Social Security, trying to take Social Security away. After you guys have mismanaged this much stuff, come on. This is the Luigi effect. This is why people are so pissed off. Probably shouldn't say that, but I can say it on TV, right? Pissed off. Pissed off is one of the words I can say on TV. Okay. So angry. I know the internet's full of stuff. Steve Hall, I'm sorry if I can't say pissed off on television. Anyway, they're so angry that they're backing Luigi for killing the CEO. Again, I'm not condoning murder. Okay? Not. But I understand why people are so angry. If it's your kid that's having cancer treatments or being denied cancer treatments or nausea medication from some CEO, my husband said it best. This is like practicing medicine without a license. We have a law office here, and I do a lot of investigations and work in our private law office. We do personal injury cases. Okay? I myself have experienced having a shoulder injury and being denied an MRI when I had a surgeon, an orthopedic surgeon, telling my insurance that we pay, this is big dollar insurance, but my husband and I are paying, okay, premiums. And some, GS3 clerk, some female with no medical experience is denying this. And so, my doctor gets on the phone and rips into her and says, I'm going to be the key witness. They're going to turn around and sue you. Magically, it gets proved. So what you have is people with no medical experience whatsoever denying health care, even when surgeons are saying, I need this MRI to do the surgery. I need this, I need that. And doctors, real MDs, they're having to argue with somebody with no medical experience to get this stuff approved. That's just the biggest bunch of BS ever. And Here's how to solve it. That's practicing medicine without a license. In the state of Kentucky, if our state legislatures and state representatives, that's right, that's you, Upchurch, all right, and some of the other ones around here, why haven't you done something about this state-wise? Many the states have gotten together, some of the states, and their state legislatures have passed state laws saying you will not deny this claim if a doctor says there's an MRI. They passed laws for this, so, and state legislatures, you can pass a law saying you deny this, and it's not a doctor, you're practicing medicine without a license, and we can have you criminally investigated. Where's that law? State of Kentucky legislatures, you need to pull your head out of your you-know-what and start protecting the citizens of Kentucky, because you're not. And other states, this is going on too, okay? So this can be solved as long as people aren't, getting, kickbacks. I mean, that's a big part of it. The healthcare industry is one of the biggest, these companies, United Healthcare, all of them, follow the money. Sherlock Holmes used to say, the character Sherlock Holmes, follow the money. If you look at who donates to these people and how they vote on Capitol Hill and in our state legislature, it's real clear. It's the legal bribery of our system. That's something else that needs to be changed. Campaign finance reform. Okay. So, we're at 6:31. We're trying to get through all of this. Okay, so, I covered that. Okay. Now, next topic. I want to hit this real quick. We've been covering this since 2019. And I want to say this. Article 1 of the United States Constitution gives our legislative branch of government oversight to protect our citizens. That's in Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. And it's worded a lot more clearly than what I just said. I'm summarizing. There's a reason our founding fathers did this. And it's not in Article 3. It's Article 1. It's their first thought. Because they knew that human beings in government positions could be corrupted. So they wanted oversight. Okay? And what's happened in our country is the agencies that are doing oversight, the GAO, the Inspector General, the teeth have been pulled out of them. And laws have been passed so we cannot criminally prosecute corporate CEOs who get caught lying and cheating and everything. That's a big part of the problem. Or government agencies who lie to the public and commit major league cover-ups while funneling billions of dollars into dark ops projects. That gets to my next topic, which we've been covering since 2019, since the New York Times broke the first story about these pilots and stuff coming forward. Now, this is the UAP, UFO stuff. And you're like, what does that have to do with the Luigi thing? What does that have to do with government accountability? What does that have to do with their taxpayers getting ripped off? It has everything to do with the taxpayers getting ripped off. Because the governments lie. And this is, to me, this is the biggest story in the history of history. Now, whether you believe that these objects are from another planet or whatever, okay, whatever you believe, I don't care. The point that I'm trying to make with this UAP UFO topic is this. A, whistleblowers are being retaliated against. These are the people on the front lines of your national security, okay, who are top-notch pilots and everything else, and they're getting retaliated against, and they're getting threats and intimidation to shut the hell up. And that's important to me because I was a federal government whistleblower. Go get my book. It's on Amazon and everywhere. It's called Bordergate, the story the government doesn't want you to read. Oh yeah, Michael, man. I was a national security whistleblower, blowing the whistle on my former federal government corrupt agency, United States Corruption Service. Here you go. Go read that. It's a good book, but it's not a good book because of me. I wrote a 1,000-page police report, and my co-author, Peter Ferrara, turned it into a good story. Anyway, I'm a former federal government whistleblower. I testified in front of Congress 2 times regarding this, and a 3rd time regarding the water situation in Pulaski County. Now, here's where we're at. Since congressional hearings have happened, and 2020, 2021, congressional hearings happen, and they sit the Inspector General over the Pentagon to go investigate this because these whistleblowers came forward, okay? Now we know that the government has had these black op projects and have funneled, oh, by the way, some of these whistleblowers come forward saying this money's being funneled illegally to these black ops projects. And so now, just in the past 2 weeks, more whistleblowers have come forward, and I want to get into them. But this is what we got so far, just since 2019. And a lot of these have testified in front of Congress. 4 fighter pilots, a Navy commander and Top Gun instructor, 2 pilots who were also aerospace engineers. 6 military pilots that came forward. This is just since 2019, it's just the hearings, okay? Vietnam veterans, Korean veterans, and veterans of the Middle East. These are military pilots. In addition to these other Navy fighter pilots. 5 commercial pilots have come forward. U.S. Navy Rear Admiral, a United States Navy Rear Admiral, a high-level NASA administrator, 3 U.S. Navy radar operators, a Federal Aviation Administrator Chief Officer, and an Assistant Attorney General of the state of Vermont. All of these and more, this is just the tip of the iceberg, have come forward since 2019 and on the record and have said, hey, I have evidence, I've seen them, they're on radar, or we've seen them and we've on FLIR, multiple indices, these objects are real and they're not ours. And most of these people that are witnessing this stuff, the whistleblowers, they're saying they're not of human origin. Okay. News Nation has been one of the best. Go on News Nation. You can watch all of these interviews, and I'm gonna just very quickly go through some of these interviews. Who's come forward? Now this is the stuff that's just happened in the past couple of weeks, folks. Either all of these people are crazy. Okay, these are Top Gun fighter pilots. People with top secret clearances, people who control our nukes, rear admirals, controlling, a whole nuclear fleet, okay, with all the ships that go with it, submarines. That's who this rear admiral is that's come forward. Now, either all these people are crazy. No, by the way, after they reported this, they still were in control of these things, still pilots, a lot of them, or they're telling the truth. I believe they're telling the truth, and I don't think they're crazy. And again, hats off to News Nation, because they've done the best job of anybody. News Nation, the History Channel, and now we've got Nat Geo's coming on board too, and they're doing stories on it. 60 Minutes too has done a really good story. And of course, Truth or Politics, we have been covering this over and over again. These are the people just recently with impeccable resumes. Okay, the first one, Jake Barber. Jake Barber was a covert intelligence operative. He's an aerospace mechanic. He's a helicopter pilot. And he was a private contractor for intelligence community, Air Force Special Operations, numerous commendations, numerous covert operations. And what he came forward first, and all these other people now have backed him up subsequently. What he's come forward and said is, and he's posted a video of this. So now everybody, well, I don't know how many videos. Yeah, you do. Here's a video. I've posted his interview of News Nation video, and towards the ending of this video, is it in the middle or towards the ending, Michael, man, the video?
It's probably 80% through.
It's 80% through. You're going to see the actual video where he's a helicopter pilot. He's, special operations, and he goes out and retrieves one of these alien aircraft. And what he's saying is that there has been a crash retrieval program for years that our government has been lying to us and is covering it up. And these aircraft are of non-human intelligence. Now, what are they? Where are they from? I don't know. But all of these people are backing up his story, to include the ones I just read. These are new ones I'm getting ready to read. Go watch his interview. It's a Jake Baker. It's on News. The initial interview is on News Nation. News Nation has broke this story. They deserve the credit. Now, other indices, other news like ours is covering it as well. Fred Baker, Special Operations Air Force, Covert Ops, multiple services with distinctions. He has Navy citations. This guy has multiple Bronze Stars with 4 leaf clusters. Let me repeat this. This is Fred Baker's interview. Multiple Bronze Stars with 4 leaf clusters. Folks, that's not somebody that you want to mess around with. That's not somebody that just is crazy or makes stuff up. He is a Tier 1 top secret clearances. And he's also received a Navy Presidential Unit citation. He is backing up the story that the UAP Crash Retrieval Group, all of them have Tier 1 clearances. Okay? And you can watch his full interview. Again, I'm just Reader Digest version through this. Lieutenant Colonel John Blitch, U.S. Army and Air Force. He was a former Green Beret armor, former nuclear officer. Okay? He has a master's degree in math and computer science, a doctorate degree in cognitive psychology. He's a professor at the U.S. Air Force Academy. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Okay. He is a professor at the U.S. Air Force Academy. And you know what, folks? Not everybody gets to be a professor at the U.S. Air Force Academy. That's a big deal. Just like the Bronze Star guy. These are not crazy people. These are people with impeccable resumes, okay? As we sit here today, he's a consultant for the White House and their science and technology policy. He's also a consultant to NASA. He has a top secret clearance, and one of his jobs was he was in charge when he was at the Army, or no, the Air Force, in charge of a missile silos. Okay, this is a guy that, if you're in charge of these missile silos, again, this is a Lieutenant Colonel John Blitch. You can start World War III with these things, okay? You don't put people in charge of that kind of thing if you think they're nuts, all right? So, this guy's backing Jake Baker's story as well. Also, we have veteran Don Paul Bales. Again, all of these interviews of these guys, separate interviews, are posted on News Nation. This guy has 25 years of military and law enforcement, served with the 82nd Airborne. He is corroborating Jake Barber's story. He is a member of Jake Barber has a team now that runs these covert operations. Don Paul Bales, he also runs an MMA gym, so all my MMA fans out there, he is an owner-operator of a gym. He was with Special Operations with the Air Force. So, again, a guy with an impeccable resume. You know, he said something in his interview, I want to repeat, I'm going to quote him. He says, "It's easier to think everyone is crazy than it is to accept that these objects are real and that we are not alone in the universe." That's exactly what a lot of the stuff is going on. That combined with our government lying to us and going after whistleblowers and trying to make them look crazy. You know, they're all great. Awards, awards, awards. They go from hero to zero when they become whistleblowers. I know, that's what happened to me. Okay, so we also have Congressman Tim Burchett, who just this week came out. He said that he has spoken to another admiral, a different admiral, from the Navy admiral, who the Navy admiral actually testified before Congress about this stuff and validated this. This is a separate admiral who has confirmed to Congressman Tim Burchett that he has seen extremely fast underwater UFOs clocking in at over 1,000 kilometers and the size of a football field. 1,000 kilometers per hour. This is going through the water. And many of these other UFO stories that the test pilots and the Top Gun pilots were saying, these UFOs speeds Mach 500, okay? also going through the water. So here's a congressman also coming forward with this stuff. All right. And I can't believe I've covered all this. Now, so, what is the Luigi effect? It's the same thing as the Robin Hood effect. The cat is out of the bag with this UFO, UAP stuff. Too many credible people are now coming forward. Now we have videos. Also, there is a mountain of documents backing this up. Not to mention the congressional report that was done in 2022, 2021, and then 2022. The Pentagon actually came out and said, yes, they confirmed that these objects exist, and they don't know what they are. Why should that concern you? Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. It should concern all of you. This is the same Pentagon that $800 billion later has misspent all this money. They can't find it. And we have these objects entering into our airspace, restricted airspace. And just in January alone, 3 Air Force bases had to be shut down because of drones or UAPs. There's several things going on. Drones entering airspace, but there's also UAPs. You're shutting down Air Force bases. You know, the air traffic at Air Force bases, because these things are entering restricted airspace. Okay? And the Pentagon has confirmed these things exist. There's no more saying, oh, it's all BS. No. The Pentagon has confirmed in official reports to Congress, these things exist. We don't know what they are. Go ahead.
1,000 kilometers an hour is 621 miles per hour.
1,000 kilometers an hour, 621 miles per hour through the ocean. Okay? That's what people are absolutely with impeccable resumes. It's not just these people with impeccable resumes. The SS Nimitz fleet off the coast of San Diego. They caught these things on FLIR. They were visually substantiated by 2 Top Gun pilots. They were substantiated by radar. And the rear admiral of that fleet has come forward and said, these are real. They were on radar. This is real. Also, too, the Roosevelt. You've got 3 different nuclear fleets. Okay, that's your aircraft carrier, all the ships that go with it, a submarine, and the aircraft, and eyes on. 3 separate aircraft carrier groups have caught these on FLIR, pictures, eyes, Top Gun pilots again. One of the fleets, the Roosevelt, they literally want these objects follow them to the Middle East and back. These pilots have come forward and testified before the United States, under oath, before U.S. Congress, this happened. So, for those of you who say, oh, there's no proof that these exist, yeah, there's a mountain of proof. Okay? Not only these people coming forward under oath, testifying before Congress, but there was numerous FLIR, that's forward-looking infrared cameras have documented this, eyes on, and radar operators now. We have, I think 6 radar operators from these fleets coming forward. And now you have private pilots from the civilian industry coming forward and saying, one of them filmed it. And I posted that a couple weeks ago. He sees the object, he films it with his camera out of his plane. This is a civilian aircraft pilot. He's been interviewed on these shows as well. Then he shows his radar on his screen. I think it was a C-140 or whatever he was flying, commercial aircraft. And so you could see it on his radar. Okay, so multiple indices have documented these things. So the time for saying there's no proof is over. This cat is out of the bag. These things are real. They're documented on multiple indices. They're real. And the government, and the big picture is, and what are they? I don't know. What's more important is your government either doesn't know, and they're humiliated into saying that because now we can show that they've spent billions of dollars trying to figure it out. And we now have evidence, hard evidence, to include that there was a crash retrieval program. They have gotten these things because my understanding is that some of our radar somehow interfered with the UFO, UAP systems, and they crashed for whatever reason. Okay, they've retrieved these and they've been, studying them. Okay, and they turned this over to McDonnell Douglas, all these private industry, of course, the military-industrial complex, private industry companies, and your tax dollars have poured billions of dollars into researching this stuff. And as we sit here today, the Pentagon's answer is, well, I don't know. We don't know what it is. Really? So either it is highly humiliating that they don't know. Somebody needs to be fired. Somebody needs to go to jail for this. Okay? Or they know and they're continuing the lie. Okay, but the day of saying UFOs don't exist is over. UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, that's the new, Pentagon term for it. UFO, UAP. This denying this stuff is over. Too many credible people have come forward, and now we have video, we have FLIR. It is overwhelming evidence that if I ever presented this evidence in front of a jury, they would convict unanimously. They would convict the government. You've been lying and cheating and stealing our money and nothing to show for it, but you want to take our Social Security. See how it all comes back around? Okay, so what can you all do? What can we do about this? Well, let me hit one more topic. Okay, I'm going to hit this really, really quick. Again, back to the Luigi effect, the Robin Hood effect. I want to talk about Daniel Perry, former Marine. This is the guy that was on the subway there was a guy, a nut on the subway threatening people. This nut on the subway in New York had threatened people right in front of him, and he had a whole rap sheet. He should have never been even out of jail. A violent offender. Rap sheet. Okay, this Marine feels that the people on the thing, he's on the subway, are threatened, so he puts this guy in a chokehold to control him. The guy ends up dead. All right? City of New York and their idiot prosecutor up there decides to prosecute this Marine. Okay? In Kentucky, we have what's called the Castle Doctrine. It's where I can defend myself. I can use deadly force if I need to defend myself or defend others. Okay? New York, a little bit different. They don't have it's the same thing. It's not a stand your ground thing. But he was still within his rights to defend others. Okay? Different wording. Our laws here in Kentucky, that's one thing our legislature has done right, in my humble opinion, is the Castle Doctrine. Okay. So he goes to trial. Now, this guy was arrested, booked, humiliated on TV. Of course, the New York prosecutor drug him through the mud and everything else. He goes in front of a jury, and unanimously, the jury finds him not guilty. Here's the problem. If you're watching this and you followed this trial, which I have, and I wish I had more time to get into it, how willing are people going to be in the future to defend somebody if they see somebody harming somebody else? How willing is the next Marine who watched this guy, what he went through? He had to go through a trial. This is traumatic to go through a criminal trial like this. Had to come up with a lawyer, the whole 9 yards, to defend himself. How willing are people in the future going to be to step up? People are going to be afraid. No, I'm not going to end up like this guy. I'm just going to let and that's sad. The days of people affecting the Castle Doctrine or stand your ground or defending others may be over because of stuff like this. The defense of others is important. We want people to be able to step up and, what kills me about New York City is going after this guy. Back in the 70s, I'm old. So a lot of you people are young, you won't know this, but back in the 70s, you had the Guardian Angels. You remember that? New York City condoned a group of vigilantes called the Guardian Angels, and they rode the subways because the subways got so bad, and they were doing what this Marine was doing. A lot of them were martial arts former military. And, you know, New York City had a fine deal with that back in the 70s, early 80s. And guess what? The subways stopped being violent for a long time. Well, now, I don't know who's in charge up there now, but, you know, the subways are just violent. They're horrible. And for this idiot prosecutor to prosecute this guy, this should have never gone to court. So I'm glad he was found innocent. But this kind of doves right into the Luigi effect. This is what people are so angry about. Our system. I'm not anti-government. Someone sent a little message to me that you must be anti-government. No, I'm not. I believe our system of government that our founding fathers laid out, they knew what they were doing. They laid out a system of government, 3 different branches at the state and federal level for accountability. So one branch can hold another branch accountable. The justice system, you know, the legal system has accountability with the Supreme Court. You know, our legislature. Go ahead, Michael.
The guardian angels resumed patrolling the New York City subway systems in December of 2024 after a woman was burned to death on a train.
Get up there close. Read that. I didn't even know. Read that again.
The guardian angels resumed patrolling the New York City subway systems in December 2024 after a woman was burned to death on a train.
Go guardian angels. See, we need more of that. Now, here's my concern. One of those guardian angels goes and puts a chokehold or something, tries to keep somebody from hurting somebody. What, is that idiot prosecutor going to prosecute them too? You know, great. Thank you, guardian angels, for stepping up. This is, again, the Luigi effect. Again, I'm not condoning murdering a CEO. But people are so fed up. Our system of government is one of the best ever. It's not the system of government that's broken. It's the idiots running it. Okay? We've got a system now where, because of legal bribery, our legislative branch is completely bought off. It just is. And in our you know, our government agencies like the Pentagon, there's no accountability. We need to get back to where, you know, the Inspector General's office has teeth. Back in the 70s, even the 80s, right through the 90s, you know, the Government Accountability Office and the IG, people were afraid to death of the IG inspectors. Now, under Bush Cheney, yes, this happened under Bush Cheney, those idiots, because they wanted to get away with starting a fake war for oil, basically, okay, Bush Cheney, and connect it to 9/11, which there was no connection between Iraq and 9/11, and they fabricated that and caused a lot of people their lives. Okay, Bush and Cheney are, in my opinion, war criminals, but they were real smart. They and their Congress got a lot of laws changed, and they defanged the Inspector General's office. And now, people in the Pentagon can steal $800 billion and misappropriate funds into black ops projects and lie to the American public about UAPs and UFOs, and nobody's fired and nobody's going to jail. This is why people are angry enough to take a gun and shoot a CEO. Okay? I'm not saying I'm condoning that. I'm explaining to you why people are so angry. They're fed up. Okay? It's the Robin Hood effect. You know, whether Robin Hood was a real story or not, that story really explains what's going on in America today. So, I can't believe I covered all these things and I still have a throat. Okay, folks, we appreciate everything. We appreciate you guys keeping us on. Again, we want to thank MVR TV. To our new folks listening, welcome aboard. My buddy in Canada, Ace is up. Keep watching. And we hope you'll keep, and Michael Mann and everybody behind the scenes that keeps us going on Truth or Politics. We appreciate you and all that you do. We appreciate it. And I hope you can hear me tonight. I forgot my little thing and my voice is gone. Anyway, we will see you next time on Truth or Politics.